Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. This is the Paul Harrell program. We get a great show for you. My co-host Rob Spencer and I are going to talk a little bit about this new report coming out where the feds seem to be a little concerned that the backlash, the outrage over AI data centers may turn into violence. Imagine that. Is that a justified fear when AI data centers are reportedly taking up large tracts of land and using resources, consuming water? But is it even more than that? I mean, if in any point during American history, if the government through eminent domain is going to take your home, if you do that to everybody, you're going to have a huge problem. In the past, eminent domain affects a small group of people, and so there's really not a rallying cry. But political populism in this respect could make a lot of people mad. Not to mention, what is the purpose for AI? We're really, the data centers anyway, we're really not being told. Is it mass surveillance? Kind of interesting. I don't know if it's ironic or not. I don't think it's ironic. It kind of goes in line. The fact that there may be domestic extremists or potential domestic terrorists that are going to be increasingly monitored because they're protesting data centers that will expand their surveillance state to levels we really can't even imagine. We're going to talk about that as well as more. We've got Ken Paxton dropping his most recent campaign ad against Talarico, which is absolutely devastating. And the Democrats are once again trying to amp up the theater, and they're trying to make this guy masculine. He has previously said he's going to run a vegan campaign. So now, of course, the Democrats have him posing, eating turkey legs, and the memes are incredible. And speaking of memes, we're going to memorialize Harambe, just like the White House did today. And we're going to revisit the great meme wars of 2016.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks. As always, we're broadcasting here on LFA TV as well as over at the Paul Harrell Program YouTube page. We'd encourage you to go out and subscribe to that and subscribe to LFA. Rob Spencer. Rob, how you doing?
Paul, it is an honor to be in the show, in the studio on the show, as always, when I can be. A moment of silence for Harambe. You know what? He started a cultural phenomenon. I mean, get that kid out of his cage, kind of thing. But it just spun off on something. A couple of things interesting. Of course, we're all concerned about AI. I mean, there's some neat things that it can do, and you're just kind of like, oh, it's going to put this person out of business, this industry out of business, all of that stuff. We keep hearing about it in the real estate market, like, hey, it's going to get rid of real estate agents, and I'm like, okay, well, in a lot of ways, if you're not embracing AI, you're going to get left behind. But should things be done to counteract that? And I think that the people who have legitimate concerns about these data centers going up in their communities and the harmful effects that it's going to be playing, I mean, they've got legitimate concerns there. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm really interested to dive into that. And then, of course, I listened to Scott Bessent, who took the place of
Caroline Leavitt.
Yeah, today. And I like their strategy there. While she's out on maternity leave, not having like a temporary person like kind of fill in, because then there would be in comparisons. And for my money, there's no comparison. As much as I love Kayleigh McEnany when she was in there in Trump 1.0, of course she took over for Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but Kayleigh was just incredible. Has anybody even held a candle to Caroline Leavitt? She's incredible in that position. And so I like the idea of having these fill-in people because they all bring their own personality. So it's neat. We'll talk about some of that stuff. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I saw where the last question was something about Gavin Newsom to Bessent, and his answer was, "You can't fix stupid." And then he just walked
off. He just walked off. It was incredible. Yeah, because Gavin Newsom's like, oh, anybody that receives these Trump funds here, we're going to tax you 100%. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's from the weaponization fund, right? If you were victimized by the government, there's a way to apply to get restitution. Yeah. And so California is saying any Californian who gets that money, California is just going to take it all.
Think about that.
Think about how evil you have to be. So committed to your ideology that you're just going to rob your own citizens.
We weaponized our government against you. The federal government is trying to alleviate the financial hardship that we placed on you. Well, we're going to take that money too. That's like if you wanted to write this stuff, folks, the Democrats have no platform other than opposing Donald Trump. Can you tell me what they stand for? They could say, "Oh, well, women's reproductive health care." Right? I saw this thing today that just said it was comparing reproductive health care, like calling abortion reproductive health care was like calling it this and this and this. I can't remember all the examples, but it's not health care. Abortion is not health care. It's ending a life. We all know that. But that's like, other than that, can you tell me what they say, like what they stand for? I have no idea what the Democratic platform is in 2026 other than oppose Trump at all stops. And Trump is trying to help the people that were affected negatively by the government. And what does the left do? This absolute lunatic out there in California, what does he do? We'll just take all that money too.
I know, and I know we didn't plan on talking about this at the beginning of the show, but it really is incredible to think about how much they hate Republicans or conservatives in their own state, because, really what we're talking about here is January 6th. So I don't know how many Californians were arrested and indicted or thrown into gulags because they showed up to protest the stolen election in January of 2021. I don't actually know that, but they are so. It shows you also how committed they are to the narrative that the government, pursuing people, charging them or what. They are unable to even entertain the idea that when Democrats are in charge, that the government would ever be abused to the prejudice of a citizen. They're not. These are the people that are like, oh, Trump's a fascist, Trump's Hitler or whatever. They are not. They are just not willing to even entertain the idea that they would harm people, and that's really sad because we know that they will, and we know that they have plans to, especially if they get back in power, specifically Christians. We're going to get into James Tallarico here in a minute because he's saying things that I'm going to actually ask you to decode something live in real time. But it's crazy, and we are looking. The sad thing is we are looking at a very real possibility of a President Gavin Newsom in 2028. I think as much as we are criticizing the Dems for running somebody like James Tallarico, a beta male who's even more feminine than Beto O'Rourke is, I don't think they're going to make. I think they're going to go with Gavin Newsom in 2028 because they realize for them to have a chance at white men in the middle, they have to go with somebody like Gavin Newsom. Well,
we saw a precursor to what Gavin Newsom is going to do whenever Charlie Kirk went on Gavin Newsom's inaugural podcast.
Yes,
and we saw the most. I'm like, who are you? Who are you, Gavin Newsom? Because this is not what you've stood for. This is not how you've legislated the entire time as governor. This is not who you are. But he was playing to the center. He was in a room with someone who is adamantly opposed to him, a worthy foe, because Charlie Kirk could not be out debated by anybody. And so he's sitting there having this conversation, and I saw the playbook for 2028 for Gavin Newsom. It is, we're going to move to the middle. Now, I'm going to govern from the far left because I've got all of these years, however long has he been a governor for 8 years, 7 years at this point. So this is my playbook for governance. I'm going to go to the middle to get elected.
And hit that podcast circuit as well.
There you go. And he's a handsome guy. He's good looking. He's articulate. Although
his wife who's been with Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. That woman is scary. Can you imagine her as first lady? Golly, man, she is talking like she is a feminist on steroids. Yeah. She's one step away from shaving her head. But so I like what a disgrace it would be to have that woman as the first lady of the United States. But that's what Gavin Newsom is going to do. He's going to go to the center And he is going to be a strong, formidable force. It's not going to be a Kamala Harris. There's no chance, man.
Well, we say that, but you never know. I mean, I think that's where they're going to go, but they're going to have to learn a lesson from Tallarico again. I think he's going to lose pretty handedly, but you do have the radicals in the party that they may go for the most radical, but then again, they may actually they themselves may say, hey, we've got to moderate. We're not going to moderate personally, but we're going to moderate because we just can't have J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Gavin
Newsom had that debate with Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis just completely obliterated him. However, it didn't look that way.
Right.
It didn't look that way. Like, if you know the facts, Ron DeSantis obliterated Gavin Newsom during that debate. But what it sounded like was that Ron DeSantis was crazy talk. You're bringing all this stuff, like none of this stuff is fact, because Gavin Newsom is a crafty politician.
Yeah, he's a liar.
And he stood there on that podium and absolutely lied. He said he had one of the lowest crime rates. He had one of the lowest tax rates. You're like, wait a minute, this is objectively not true. There's no matter what side of the aisle you're on here, if you listen to that debate, this is objectively not true. And Gavin Newsom is going to be his playbook. He's going to stand on that debate stage and he's going to lie about his record. He's going to lie about what he's going to do as president. He is going to be put into place, and then he's going to move farther back to the left than he ever was as California governor, because now he's in control of the entire United States. This is a scary situation for conservatives because Gavin Newsom won't be taken seriously because it's California, it's all of that stuff. They won't take him seriously. But anybody that's watched this man over the last 8 years knows that you better take him seriously.
Yeah, I agree. All right, to the top story, the feds. This is from Gizmodo. Now, I don't really surf a lot of these. I know Wired has a piece about it that's referenced here. I don't really surf a lot of the tech blogs, if you will, but this, was a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. The feds and law enforcement are worried AI backlash could turn into anti-tech violent extremism. The threat of domestic terrorism could give Trump's AI-friendly administration a convenient reason to keep tabs on anti-AI movements and data center protests. So it's interesting because we keep asking, or we keep hearing, hey, we're in an AI arms race. Now, we asked the question last week, if we are in an AI arms race against China, why are we going to continue to tolerate China owning or buying farmland? Now, I know maybe some of their purchases, and I don't know specifically, but I know like states like Arkansas and Oklahoma and others have banned the sale of land to Chinese companies, has required them to divest. But there's still plenty of land that is owned by China next to our military bases. So if China is such a threat, why are we still allowing them to own land? Why are we not taking more action? I don't know. It's just a question that I have that seems like there's an inconsistency. But that's what we're told, that we got to put these. If Project Stargate, that was announced right after Trump won in January of 2024, we're going to buy. We're going to build all these data centers. There's no question. Silicon Valley, this is their baby. They backed Trump and Elon in 2024. This is part of the deal. That's what it is. Now, but we still don't really know exactly what this is going to be used for. How is it going to make our lives better? I mean, have you guys noticed? You remember when the phones all went from 4G to 5G, and we were told that we were going to have, this was going to be huge. We had to do it. Am I the only one that doesn't? I don't really see any difference.
No.
Have you noticed any difference from going to 4G, 5G in terms of the speed of your internet, your phone, or any of that? I don't know.
Maybe if you had a full signal, you might say that if you were loading a web page or something, say if you were in your browser on your phone, maybe it loads a little quicker. I don't know, but that's just me being. But if you had a full signal, I don't think that
Is it noticeable, though? I guess that's my point is we were told, I remember thinking, oh, yeah, this 5G stuff is going to be, that 5G stuff's being used for something else. It's not being used to make our phones faster, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
It's not noticeable anyway.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know did the government subsidize that, the upgrade to 5G?
I'm not sure, and there's all this talk. I know RFK talked about this before he was HHS secretary, and that was, hey, we really need to worry about the frequencies that are being broadcast here because, America doesn't really have regulations, and we could be cooking the mitochondria of our cells with all of this radiation or all the signal that's going out. But now we've got the data centers that are there to I guess, process our increasingly, dependent digital world, but we're not really told how this is going to make our lives better.
Yeah.
And, the first time I ever heard of a data center was in 2012 because of a Wired magazine article about the Utah data center where we learned that the NSA was collecting all of our information, every keystroke, everything you were saying, and it was being stored. That was kind of the first iteration of that. The need for these data centers has only grown. Now it's less about the NSA and public, funds, and now it's more private or public-private partnerships. How are our lives going to be made better? And the only thing I can think of is that this is a tool for mass surveillance. Not only mass surveillance, but social engineering, the likes of which a totalitarian dictator of the 20th century couldn't even have imagined the amount of power that the government's going to have. And it may not be the Trump administration, but it could be the Gavin Newsom administration. I don't know if you've ever seen those shows called Black Mirror. They're kind of like a Twilight Zone, modern-day Twilight Zone. But they've got some incredible episodes about like social credit scores and how, through a series of unfortunate events, this lady who had this incredibly high social credit score, there's a few things that happen and she gets dinged here and dinged there, and now all of a sudden she can't ride the bus. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden she can't even, she's on her way to a party in the episode. Towards the end of the episode, her credit score is so low she can't even attend the party with her friends because her friends know that because they can see her score, it's all digital, they see it, they can't hang out with her anymore because
it would lower theirs.
It would lower their scores.
Yeah.
And so we've already heard real life implications. We've already heard real life examples of this out of China. So I want you to imagine that you like LFA TV or you like any InfoWars or whatever. Imagine that you go to that website, but now your credit score is dinged because you have a digital ID or you have a central bank digital currency. I did like that Scott Bessent said today, we do not support a central bank digital currency. That's good to hear. But all of this infrastructure that they're laying, ladies and gentlemen, it can all be used to implement all of that with whatever the next crisis is and whoever the next president is or whoever and so I do think it's concerning that we have anti-tech violent extremism is now on the radar of the feds when we're all saying, well, yeah, we're going to protest if you're using eminent domain to take our homes and you're going to use 30 million gallons of water that the utility company doesn't even know about in Georgia.
Do you think this is in the same vein as Merrick Garland standing before Congress or sitting before Congress testifying that the number one threat to, peace in the United States is the rise of white supremacy? When we're all sitting here thinking, really? Because I watch the news, and I'm pretty sure that if white supremacists were committing violent acts already, that we would be seeing about it everywhere. As a matter of fact, there's so little racial, violence like that from white people that it has to be manufactured. And so Merrick Garland said,
yeah, SPLC.
Right. And Merrick Garland sat there with a straight face and said, hey, there's a huge problem, right? And it was so that there could be more attention, more funds, more of an allocation of resources toward the white supremacy, which I'm not going to naively say doesn't exist. It 100% does. There are idiots out there that call themselves white supremacists. Okay, and so those people exist, but was so much of a threat that we need to take resources away from gangs, from certainly foreign-born gangs when Venezuelans were taking over, apartment complexes.
To answer your question, it surely does. It kind of feels
it just smells bad,
close to that. Yeah. Their definition of white supremacy though was any white person that notices anti-white bias in our culture, or anybody that starts to talk about the great replacement theory, which is fact. I mean, literally, the New York Post is essentially saying the other day, hey, in 2050, white people are going to be a minority. Bill Clinton celebrating that back in the 90s. Hey, we're not, like this is somehow a good thing that less white people somehow is good for this country. And it's shadows of South Africa and what they're doing and have done to the Boer farmers over there. So, their definition was broad. The Merrick Garland, James Comey, all those guys, their definition of white supremacism was, are you white? Do you shoot fireworks on the 4th of July? Do you like the barbecue? You're a potential domestic terrorist. That's literally what their standards were.
They were looking at people who had ordered Bibles on Amazon,
yes.
Paul. If you ordered a Bible on Amazon, you were potentially labeled as a white supremacist. What? What are you talking about? Do you know how many minorities believe in God and worship God? Like they're gonna have point to me any Sunday morning that doesn't have a lot of black people going to church. They go to church, man. They go to church. Even the gangbangers sometimes will go to church. The ones on the weekends that are killing people and then sitting in the church pews on Sunday. Anyway, my whole point of it is this just totally reeks of a false flag to me. It totally reeks of, because who are the people that are going to be upset about these data centers? For the most part, it's going to be the citizens of that particular area.
Yep.
And they are going to be the taxpayers. They're going to be the ones that are footing the bill for, hey, we're going to give you free infrastructure so that you can have this, put in place, right? We're going to run these utilities for it. Our tax dollars are going to go to pay partially, or we're going to supplement it. We're going to give it tax breaks. We're going to do all of these things that, that the taxpayers have the right to be frustrated about, to have an opinion on. And for my opinion, the right pays way more taxes than the left. And maybe I'm off on that. I don't know. But the way that I look at it is that those taxpayers in that area that are frustrated about this are probably more on the right, and we just don't burn things down. Everybody wants to talk about January 6th as we were saying. Okay, let's just say that it was as bad as you've made it out to be. That's one day.
Yeah.
You got one day out of how.
And in
like, what's the scorecard here?
Yeah. And in reality, I mean, if that were an actual insurrection on January 6th, which it wasn't, if it was, it would have lasted a lot longer, sure. And people would have actually brought weapons and guns.
Oh yeah.
And
this unarmed
they
insurrection.
would have actually tried, like the demographic you're talking about, conservatives, like they were there to protest peacefully, yeah. And then the plainclothes FBI agents, the lowering of barricades, letting people in the Capitol, giving them a guided tour, not to mention Ray Epps and everything that revolver.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
It's incredible.
Just think about the ridiculousness of that statement. Simple as it is, the ridiculousness of this statement here, Paul. In a country where there are more weapons than there are breathing human beings, we have more guns in the United States than there are human beings. A group of individuals got together to take over that government with not a gun in sight. Zero weapons. Other than their bodies and their voices and breaking and entering and picking up something and throwing and busting some glass.
There was one guy, okay? Mm-hmm. You remember when, it was Tucker Carlson that aired the J6 videos that we were never supposed to see that made Mitch McConnell so mad and the Republicans so mad, right?
Honestly, it was the fast track to Tucker getting fired.
Yeah, there were also other videos that he didn't air that eventually came out, okay? So there's a video that came out, I think, after Tucker Carlson revealed what he revealed, of a guy, okay, and they ended up eventually arresting this guy, but it wasn't until the video came out. Now, you ask yourself, why? There was a guy that climbed on top of the scaffolding January 6th, pulled out a revolver, and fired in the air a couple of times. That guy was never arrested. That guy was never tracked down until the video came out of, there was one guy that had a gun and fired it in the air. This was years after January 6, 2021.
Let's
How does that happen when they were tracking down grandmas who just happened to set foot on the building?
Well, let's just be honest. There were guns on their person. People had guns on their person. They just chose not to use them. Like that's not what this was about. It was a show of force to say we don't like what our government, our elected officials are doing. You are certifying an election when there has been obviously so much fraud that exists throughout this, and you're going to sit here and certify this election, and we're coming to protest that, which was their right. It got out of hand, whether it be because some people were really riled up and there was a whole lot of crowd mentality here, like, whatever, or, and it may be just a combination, the FBI that were in the crowd, which we know that there were, FBI agents in there were riling up this crowd, right? And you cannot tell me that Ray Epps wasn't being paid to call for this violence.
100%. I mean, Ray Epps was on the FBI's most wanted list, 24 hours after J6, and then his name mysteriously was taken off.
Like, oh, wait a minute, that's one of our guys.
It took Beatty. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head. He's in the Trump administration now, but over at revolver.news, he pursued that like a news hound, and that was one of the first indications that, hey, this was an inside job. And we still have this division because you've got these two pipe bomb narratives. You've got Kash Patel's narrative that, hey, we got this black autistic guy, and then you have Steve Baker's who's like, no, I think it was this Capitol Hill police officer. So we're going to see, because he's now being sued, and we'll see what discovery looks like. So
whatever the reason was, January 6th got out of hand. So we'll give you that one day. Well, it's not nearly as bad as, people are trying to compare it to September 11th, Kamala Harris.
Give them that one day, but at the same time, what we know right now is it was entrapment at the very least. I think it's actually much worse than that.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got that one instance there, and then you're just like, okay, well, we're just going to kind of scoot past the fact that the Summer of Love had happened less than a year prior to.
Yeah, burn, loot, murder.
Okay, and I will never understand the mentality of looting because James Floyd gets killed.
George, remember his name.
Sorry, I said James Floyd. George Floyd, remember his name. I don't give a damn. That guy's garbage, and the world is better off without him. I know that's an unchristian-like thing to say, but the world, any guy, no matter if you're on drugs or whatever your motivation is, if you break into somebody's home to rob them and you see that she's pregnant, and instead of pointing the gun at her chest, you point it at her belly because you're a sick, sadistic bastard, you can go to hell. I just have no sympathy for you. But because George Floyd gets killed in Minneapolis, right, we've got people in Atlanta, Georgia, breaking in and stealing Air Jordans from the Foot Locker. Okay. Yeah. And then we've got people like Kamala Harris who are donating and encouraging other people to donate to the funds to get these people bailed out. So we're not the same. Don't sit here and tell me that January 6th is the exact same as all of this ridiculous leftist. As soon as something happens that we don't like, we're just going to burn it all down. We're going to burn police stations down, kill the retired police officer in St. Louis who was just working. He was 71 years old. He had to work the night shift as a security guard, and he was black, and he was just doing his job trying to keep these people out of this store, and he gets murdered for it. Like, we're not the same. Don't say that we are. I don't even know how we got down that path.
Well, okay, so we were talking about AI, domestic terrorists potentially being upset about AI and going into action. Yeah. And so now you brought up the white supremacy. This feels kind of similar to that, painting everybody with a broad brush. I want you to try to decode, because honestly, I've read this. I'm not really sure. We've got some context clues we're going to add to this. This is James Tallarico on March 18th of 2021, writing, Black Americans in a church, Mexican Americans in a store, Asian Americans in a spa, radicalized white men are the greatest domestic terrorist threat in our country. Just based on that alone, and I've got something to add to it, but do you have any idea what he is saying? Like, what is the point he's trying to make?
So he's referring to specific instances. So the black Americans in a church, he's talking about South Carolina, where the guy walked into a black church.
Okay, Dylan Roof,
yes. Mexican Americans in a store, I'm not really sure what that one was. And Asian Americans in a spa. I can't remember that one specifically. This tweet was in 2021. But radicalized white men are the greatest domestic terrorist threat in our country. Yeah, except for the probably upwards of 30,000, maybe as much as 100,000 radicalized sleeper cells is Islamic terrorists who are already they're going to go to bed tonight in the United States, and they're just waiting. They're waiting for the call. And we know that they're here because the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, everybody keeps finding these individuals. But you know what? It just goes back to what we were saying yesterday, that James Tallarico is a white, I'm going to put man in quotes here, air quotes. James Tallarico is a white man who is ashamed of the color of his skin because of his leftist ideology and its lunacy.
So he links to this tweet or this story from CNN, written October 6th of 2020. Headline: White supremacists remain deadliest U.S. terror threat, Homeland Security report says. So, white supremacist extremists will remain the deadliest domestic terror threat to the United States, according to the Department of Homeland Security's first annual Homeland Threat Assessment, which details a range of threats from election interference to unprecedented storms. Since 2018, white supremacists have conducted more lethal attacks in the U.S. than any other domestic extremist movement, demonstrating long-standing intent to target racial and religious minorities, members of the LGBTQ+ community, politicians, and those they believe promote multiculturalism and globalization. So this is the story that he linked to. Never mind the fact that during this same period, the United States of America was subject to trans terrorists in several cases across the country, going in and shooting people that were white and cis, whatever that means. But this is James Tallarico. After linking to that story, he says, listen to this, Rob. He says, "There but the grace of God go I. As a white man, I'm susceptible to the same radicalization. Thankfully, I was exposed to diversity at a young age and explicitly taught the values of equality, inclusion, and justice. But not every young white boy is so lucky. Platforms like YouTube, 4chan, and Parler are radicalizing an entire generation of white boys. These sites stoke hate for profit. Their algorithms quickly escalate content from funny memes to white nationalist propaganda. As an educator, I believe our public schools must act. I'm co-authoring legislation to explicitly teach diversity, equity, inclusion in our schools." This guy is totally crazy. We obviously we know this.
All these tweets are going to be in ads.
Yes, it's going to be a culture war race in Texas, and Tallarico and the Democrats are going to lose, and they're going to lose really big. But it's funny to me that he mentions memes when he says that these memes go. They stoke hate for profit. Where did he mention memes? I just ran past it.
Yeah, the next line.
Where, right? Oh, yeah. From funny memes to white nationalist propaganda. So now Tallarico has got to face the fact that he is now meme-worthy, Rob. He is now he's being memed everywhere. And I think it's funny that this happens on the same day where the White House decides to memorialize Harambe. And so I saw these this was several years ago. There was a funny meme about like some guy waking up into a coma or waking up from a coma or something and wanted to know like how Donald Trump got elected or whatever. It was like, well, let me tell you the story. There was a gorilla that took captive a little boy and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
Donald Trump was elected president in 2016.
He took captive a little boy because what? The parents weren't watching this little kid, and he gets in this danger area. And he's like dragging this kid around a little bit, but I don't think he was. We'll never know. We'll never know if he was trying to kill the kid.
Right.
I don't think he was, because if he was trying to kill the kid, he would have done it immediately. Anyway, and then look at this majestic creature.
So
lost his life. Harambe.
The White House says, today we remember a legend. On this day in history, Harambe would have celebrated another birthday, an icon that became part of Internet history, American culture, and an entire generation's timeline. Tomorrow marks 10 years since we lost him, 10 years since the moment that would stop scrolling and collectively mourn something bigger than a meme. He became a symbol of loyalty, strength, chaos, unity, and a strange beauty of the Internet, bringing millions of people together for one cause, never forgetting Harambe. Everyone remembers where they were when they heard the news, and somehow a decade later his legacy still lives on. Gone, but never forgotten. Rest easy, true patriot. 1999 to 2016.
I have no idea where I was on May 28, 2016. I have no clue. But I can tell you, I do remember this. I remember, and then the countless, endless memes that followed.
So we have some of them.
I don't know who runs this White House.
Oh, young people.
Yeah,
for sure.
They say allegedly it's Barron.
Oh,
Barron Trump.
So Harambe was tragically killed 10 years ago today. To honor his memory, here's a thread of the best Harambe memes.
Let's see it. All right.
So here's one.
Buckle up.
He's just in heaven. Here is another one. Remembering Private Harambe.
Oh.
Okay, then we have, quick, kid. I don't have much time. In 2020, they're going to release a super virus in a strategic attempt to wipe out. These are some more recent ones.
That's a recent one there. That's, man, yeah, comes back.
Time traveler, kid kicks rocks, the timeline, local gorilla named Harambe saves child. Okay? Oh, yeah. As in another timeline. Get out of here before you get me shot.
Slinging the middle finger.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's not
Harambe.
Oh, this is funny. Look at all the other dead companies.
Oh, wow.
Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns.
Oh, what happened to FTX?
FTX. Remember that? That was a crypto scandal that involved Republicans and Democrats.
I did not remember
that. Nobody wants to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried and what he was doing.
Yeah. Signature Bank is still in business.
Yeah, sexiest man alive. Anyway, some of these are... so basically what happened was... Oh, this is my favorite one. This is why I pulled it. Harambe, it cannot be. You fell. I am Harambe the White. And I come back to you now at the turn of the tide.
At the turning of the tide.
So that's a funny one. Look, the Cheeto that looks like Harambe.
Oh, my gosh.
Jesus died for your sins. Harambe died for our memes. Rest in peace.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, so, but I wanted to think about this because there was something that happened. Like, I remember being on radio in 2016, and we created a segment not long after this called the Meme of the Day because it was so new. I mean, I know memes weren't new. They weren't invented in 2016, but the right took them and went in a direction that just exposed the left's lies. Mm-hmm. And it was such a revolutionary way to communicate, not in video, where video was great, but we're using images with a few words, and you're able to communicate complex ideas, funny jokes very, very quickly. And the right was so much better at it than the left. And it is believed that because of what happened with Harambe, meme culture took off in a big way, and then it morphed into the right taking those formats and using them to promote President Trump or dunk on Hillary, and the left was left kind of just with their hands in their pocket. They didn't know what to do.
And the left still 10 years
Yep,
later
that's
cannot
true.
meme. They don't know how to meme.
Well-
and the memes that they do, and the reason that they don't know how to meme, folks, is because you have to have a certain level of joy in your life to have humor, to be able to find humor in a situation. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to meme correctly. You've seen some of these ridiculous. What was it was the female Democrat congresswoman, congresswomen who did the Street Fighter thing. Do you remember that video where it was?
I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh, I think I blocked it out. I tried to block it out from my memory, but it was just so pathetic. Maybe somebody can help us in the comments if you remember that video and what it was based off of. But anyway, it was the most pathetic thing in the world. And of course, Jesse Waters, I remember him playing it on Fox, and he was just like, they keep trying, which is great because it gives us more material here. But the left just doesn't get it. They're not funny. Nobody likes them. The only thing that is even mildly funny at all is the Gavin Newsom press secretary, whatever this person is, press release, where this person is tweeting on behalf
but
of
even that's just got it back to your
that's
point.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
but
their best.
That's their best. Their best is mocking Trump,
Right.
and they do it with trying to, this is the greatest legislation. They'll type it that way.
Why do you think they're not funny? Why do you think they're so bad at memeing?
Well, I think it's because, as I was saying, I think you have to have a certain level of joy in your life to be able to laugh and to have humor, and not like a cackling Kamala humor, which was fake. I'm saying that you have to have some sort of joy in your life to have some creativity, and these people just don't. They're miserable. They hate their lives. They hate the United States. They hate their existence, and they hate the color of their skin.
Wow. I don't think I could have said it any better. They, their religion consumed them so much that they attack their own comics, who are definitely center left people.
Sure.
But I never thought about it. They don't have any joy in their life. Everything to them has got to be super serious. I think they fundamentally probably also feel like they're not good people. Mm-hmm. But they don't know how to reconcile it. I know that I'm not a good person except through Jesus Christ, right? But that's my reconciliation, and that's my frame of reference for everything in the world. But if you don't have that, and you know that you're a hypocrite, you know that you're not a good person, then laughing and having a good time and being free, you're not free. You're actually a slave. I actually heard kind of on an adjacent front. I was listening to Nerdrotic, because Nerdrotic has this great cultural YouTube channel about just how terrible our entertainment is, how they basically, try to brainwash us. They take intellectual property that we love, like Star Wars or Indiana Jones or whatever, and they just, dump the message in, the woke messaging, or even their new stuff, like that show The Boys, which was this nihilistic view of superheroes. They couldn't actually do the material towards the end of the season because they were so obsessed with making the chief antagonist Donald Trump that the whole thing falls apart, and they're just obsessed. But it came up in this conversation. Why do actors feel the need to insert themselves and tell us their political opinions? They end up getting themselves in so much trouble that it ends up costing the studio so much money, because right-wing dads and guys, and we don't go see their movies and that sort of thing. So why do they do it? And he said this, Rob, and I thought this was really interesting. I think this he says, I think they feel guilty about making the amount of money they do based on just reading lines that somebody else wrote. Like and he says, now I wouldn't feel guilty. And by the way, if that were me, I wouldn't feel guilty about that either. But the left, in these leftist Hollywood celebrities, he says, I think they feel guilty about making all that money for such a frivolous thing. You're basically a paid pretender. Now, there are better actors than others, but there's skill there. I'm not going to deny there's not skill, but they feel guilty about it. And so to atone for being compensated as much as they're compensated, they feel the need to go out there and, spew this communist dribble that they think is, relevant to the people. I thought that was good. I think that's true. I think there's some truth there, that's the reason.
I think so, but I think that the majority, I don't know, maybe the superstars don't feel that way. I think Robert De Niro is just crazy. I mean, I think he's so inundated with his leftist ideology that he's not going to be able to see reason. They hate Trump so bad, and I just want to ask him, like, what are you going to do in 2.5 years when Donald Trump is no longer in office? You know, which what is it? Less than 2.5 years at this point, I guess. You know, so what are you going to do when Donald Trump's not in office? How are you going to attack? Well, they're going to say, well, this guy's MAGA. They're going to still ride that wave for a couple of more years, and Donald Trump will still be stumping. I'm assuming he's going to be one of the highest paid people to come and speak at any Republican senator, member of the House, even governor of a state or something. He's going to be one of the highest paid people to come and speak at a rally for this person. Like, it's going to be a big deal, and people are still going to pay to come and see him. But who are they going to blame when he's not in office anymore? Because it's Donald Trump's policies are good for America. That, for the most part, like, you might have some disagreements about this or that, but you're going to agree on the majority of things if you've got half a brain. We maybe don't like what he says. We don't like how he says it. We don't like how he attacks people, and how if you speak out against him, he cuts you off. That's an argument that you could make. But the left, just going back to what I said earlier, they only have one playbook right now, and it is oppose Donald Trump at all stops.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I think what they're going to do is they're going to run either overtly or covertly a campaign of getting even with not only Trump cabinet officials, but Trump voters. And you've already had left-wing podcasters say that. Eerily pontificate, what are we going to do when we get back in power? What are we going to do with Trump voters? What are we going to do with those neighbors? You know, he's like, not just cabinet officials. What are we going to do with those people that voted for Trump 3 times? And so I think much of their motivation, that hatred will drive, whether it's J.D. Vance or whoever, much of that motivation is going to be towards, we've got to win so that we can, you know, they may not come out and say put us all in camps, but it's some version of that.
It's the same mentality of, what are we going to do with these unvaccinated people?
Yes.
What are we going to do with them? Right. And, I sent you guys a video earlier that was just 3 minutes of, I think we forget how bad the propaganda machine was running.
Yep.
And it was based, funded by Pfizer and the government and, Fauci, who should be in prison right now. All of that stuff. But yeah, I just completely agree. The Democrats don't have a playbook. They don't have a platform. It's just oppose Donald Trump. And, there are even street interviewers, Paul, that are fantastic. Hey, tell me why you're voting for Kamala Harris and you can't mention Trump. Right? Well, she's just a better alternative, what policy do you like? What and all of this stuff, and then of course a woman, the only thing they'll say is women's reproductive health. That's literally the only thing they've got. But when it just really calls out, it really it shines a highlighter really on how they have no principles other than just a hatred of Trump. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just it's in every facet.
You brought up this video that you sent us. Let's just real quick, because to your point, what are we going to do with all these Trump supporters? Well, I mean, you guys essentially already tried to marginalize us and, not literally, but figuratively just tried to consume us, tried to eat us.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it was all over and you took your masks off and you all got your 15th booster, we're driving back, in a car and we're like, are we just not going to talk about how you were ready to essentially destroy me and my family and my livelihood, essentially kill us because we disagreed with your medical opinions? And it's like, well, it's like we've never addressed that with the left. And by the way, not arresting Anthony Fauci and these other people only furthers this lunacy that they never have to answer. Even you talk about Trump supporters having to answer. What about the left? What about individual leftist voters that never have to answer for their policies?
They just move on.
Yeah, they just get to move on.
Yeah, they just move on. They do this stuff all the time. And watching this video that we're about to watch, it placed a huge reminder in my head about how bad things were, and how the ridiculousness for us that we were told to believe that there was a 98% reduction in the flu virus being diagnosed, that there was a 98% reduction in flu, but yet COVID was running rampant and killing everybody. And I just thought, wait a minute.
How many flu deaths?
Too many.
How many flu deaths were really remdesivir deaths? How much flu was diagnosed as COVID? You were then because everybody was worried.
Oh, yeah.
You go into the hospital because you think you've got COVID, but you've got the flu. You're given remdesivir. Remdesivir shuts your kidneys off, and you die. How many? And then the hospital gets bukus of money because the hospital records it as a COVID death. I mean, do we want to ask? I mean, it's unknowable. You'll never know because the media, they certainly at the time weren't going to dig in and try to actually find the truth to a matter. No, they bought whatever the government said they bought it.
I can speak about this from personal experience. October 14th, 2020, my 57-year-old father at the time passed away unexpectedly. He died of a massive heart attack.
He was at his home, right?
Correct. He was COVID positive when he died, and therefore he was listed as a COVID death.
Did he have any symptoms of COVID?
Absolutely not. He died of a massive heart attack because he had back surgery and couldn't work anymore, and it really messed him up mentally. I tried to pull him out of the house. He was a hermit. He just couldn't do it. He was eating like a half a gallon of ice cream for breakfast. Like he was just miserable in his life. And he gained a bunch of weight, and he had a massive heart attack. He was living a sedentary lifestyle, and a person that was used to being go, 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 and he couldn't handle it. And he had a massive heart attack, but he was COVID positive when he died, and therefore he's listed as a COVID death. There are millions of those deaths worldwide, and certainly here in the United States, that people just went in and they gave them a test as they're dying. This person could have had a gunshot wound to their forehead, and if they were COVID positive when they died,
and that's not a conspiracy theory.
That is 100% truth.
A motorcycle, people that had wrecks on motorcycles pronounced dead, COVID positive, COVID death. It happened. It's not a fake story. So.
Yeah. So we're to believe that this vaccine was infallible, which we knew that we knew at the time, but we certainly found out later that it was not. That you could get the virus once you had this vaccine, and that all of these people that were resisting the jab were actually the smart ones. But yet these elitists, and we're going to see over the next several minutes here.
They wanted to eat us.
Yes.
Basically. Listen to this. Hang on one second.
Who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Alabama.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All of us vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
Basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably. The unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts, running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free, and so forth.
We've been patient. but our patience is wearing thin.
Unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No. Screw your freedom.
The other day, Howard Stern weighed in with a much different approach. Take a look.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? Their freedom.
But you're treading on our freedom and you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
The anti-vaxxers, they seem to have a thing for death and home remedies.
The anti-maskers turned anti-vaxxers are not just putting their own lives at risk. If that was the issue, we could just say that we can watch them compete to win place or show in the Darwin Awards.
We have to start doing things for the greater good of society and not for idiots who think that they can do their own research.
And don't get me started on the lunatics who won't take any of the COVID vaccines.
Life is too short to be an ass. Life is way too short to be ignorant of the promise of something that is helping people worldwide.
Maybe you're doing it because you're disconnected or disorganized. Maybe you have some sympathetic psychological reasons. But maybe you're just being antisocial.
Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are.
Those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
The unvaccinated should be taxed. They should pay more for health care.
We need to start looking at the choice to remain unvaccinated the same as we look at driving while intoxicated.
We're going to see, and I've said, almost two types of America.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Pointing back to the unvaccinated who are really creating a problem in this country, every death that we are seeing from COVID could have been prevented.
All of that propaganda, most of it on left-wing media. You had Neil Cavuto. But,
Neil Cavuto almost died.
It's all this, but the guy already had multiple sclerosis or whatever.
Yeah,
he already
was
had
already
MS.
sick. Yeah.
I mean, but all this is funneled into these left wing, a lot of them liberal women, and it made them enraged at us. So this idea, what are we going to do with the Trump voters when we get back in power? Man, like we're over here asking the same thing. Like, what do we do with these people? I mean, and the fact that all of these news broadcasts are subsidized by Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and Moderna, I mean, this is
see a pattern.
Well, that's criminal. I'm sorry, and we have no intestinal fortitude. We have no one wants to call that what it is. I think that was criminal at a very bare minimum. That's incitement to violence. You're literally telling people that the unvaccinated are making the vaccinated less safe, which, by the way, logically doesn't make any sense because you're vaccinated. You should be good to go. But they did all this. They've paid no consequences for it, let alone the fact that the shot is harmful, I believe. I'm speechless.
So,
I don't know.
So just that, I think that we need to watch that stuff. I think we need to watch that stuff from time to time.
Yes,
to know who we're dealing with. But it's in the same realm of thought here. When's the last time that we watched, footage of 9/11? And I guarantee you that the New Yorkers haven't watched it. There's a lot of New Yorkers who voted for Mamdani who have not watched footage of 9/11 and saw the dangers of radicalization of a religion. Well, this right here is a radicalization of a religion. It is a religion of we believe the government, we toe the company line. Yes, we will get on that train.
Yeah.
Yes, we will follow orders. That's the Democratic Party because they proved it. They proved it over and over starting in March of 2020. And we saw it all the way through, even in Biden's years. The only time that people started turning on Biden was maybe his last year there. Like, oh, he's a fumbling, fool or whatever, but it was just our lovable grandpa. We still believed that he was the best person for the job. You have no principles. If you're on the left and you're a leftist, I'm not talking about an independent who sometimes votes Democrat. If you are a leftist where it's vote blue no matter who, you have no principles. You think you do. You think you have strong principles, but you don't. You're following orders.
Completely agree. Real quick, before we go to break, I do want to tell you about Redvive Health and the great folks over at redvivehealth.org/Paul. That's redvivehealth.org/Paul. This is not your grandmother's red light panel, if that's such a thing. I want you to go to redvivehealth.org/Paul. There you can save 35% off of these life-enhancing red light panels where you get red light and near-infrared light, 2 different spectrums. You get them naturally when the sun rises and sets, right there at the horizon where it turns red. That's where you get this energy from. Your body needs it. Your mitochondria needs it. Ladies, it has anti-aging capabilities because it increases the collagen production of your skin, but it also penetrates deep into your bones, your tissues, your organs, stimulating the mitochondria of your cell. If you're thinking about surgery because of chronic pain, you owe it to yourself to try this technology first. Do your research. All of it's published there at redvivehealth.org/Paul. Again, 35% off these red light panels. And we're going to be back here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. This is the Paul Harrell Program.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Redvive.
The other things that we're seeing, more and more use for is even vascular issues. So one of the mechanisms that red light, near-infrared light, or Redvive works is stimulation of the mitochondria and stimulation of nitric oxide production. So when nitric oxide is released in cells, it vasodilates cells. It reduces inflammation. It moves blood. It brings blood flow to areas. So if folks that have issues with ulcers or burns or wounds, it can help stimulate increased blood supply, and you need blood to heal. So that can open up different avenues for peripheral artery disease, for neuropathic pain syndromes. And so that's one of the other areas for nerve injury or nerve pain that we can leverage this type of medicine.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago, he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier, and when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the mush puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back to the show. Sorry about that. Checking on the temperature in our studio, where it kind of feels like the air conditioning is starting to fail. And it is not even June yet. It seems like we maybe need a little Freon boost or something.
Well, it was a little bit warmer today.
Humid, man.
Yeah, it was very humid. You know, woke up and the insides of the home windows were fogged up. So
I had the same.
Summer is upon us, folks.
All right, so I didn't get to finish my thought on the whole meme war situation because Tallarico is being memed into oblivion, and it's fantastic. But just to give you a little historical perspective here, we have the Great Meme War of 2016. And this is just an AI version of it, but it was a tongue-in-cheek name given to the massive... Think about this. Remember, because the White House memorialized Harambee, the dead gorilla.
Yes.
It's a decentralized online propaganda meme campaign during the 2016 U.S. presidential election, primarily from June 2015 to November 2016. Pro-Trump internet users, especially 4chan's, Reddit's, the Donald Reddit thread, and other. Remember this phrase? Alt-right.
Oh, gosh.
Notice how the alt-right just went, like, no one even... They used that phrase.
They loved it.
That was also a psyop from establishment Republicans, right? Because they could see what was coming, right? The alt-right. So we got all these new names, right? I think the alt-right maybe has morphed into, I don't know, they might call alt-right panicans nowadays. I don't know. But the other alt-right or S-posting communities weaponized memes, trolling, and viral content to boost Donald Trump and attack Hillary Clinton. And so it's funny because there are memes about Harambee dying and that being the reason Donald Trump won. And so it's fitting that the President Trump or the White House today memorialized Harambee. But in the meantime, I mean, by the way, Milo Yiannopoulos, he's kind of keying in on this White House thing, posting a snippet from an article where Milo Yiannopoulos was one of the guys posting memes about Harambee, and the I don't know, it's a family friendly show here. You can read it on your screen. I don't know, it's Phallics out for Harambee. He posted this, and then when it got bad was when a week later people texted me that alt-right figure Milo Yiannopoulos said, D's out for Harambee. All of a sudden the alt-right was super into D's out for Harambee, and I was like, F, abort mission. Anyway, I don't know. I think that was when Milo Yiannopoulos was still gay. I understand he's no longer gay, or doesn't.
I don't know.
He doesn't claim to be a homosexual anymore. I think he claims to be a Christian.
Well, hey, that's great. I mean, I did. There is a video that it's like there's a young black man who's testifying in church.
Yeah,
and he's like, tell him about it, brother. And he goes, I'm not gay no more. He goes,
I like women.
I like women.
I'm not. Yeah, I remember that. I'm not gay no more.
Oh my God.
That's fantastic. Anyway, the Great Meme War, and now we've got Ken Paxton. We're going to get to some of these memes, but this is Ken Paxton's latest ad attacking Tallarico. Is the race over before it even has begun? Let's see.
This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This is Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption.
I
am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
It's a good ad, man. It is a really good ad.
I wonder who was the paid for.
Let's see. Paid for by Ken Paxton for Senate. So it is Ken Paxton. My only critique is they could have chosen a better brisket. I'm sorry, but that brisket just looks a little on the dry side. I don't even know if that's a Packer brisket. It looks just like maybe it's one of the individual muscles. It looks like it's just the flat muscle. That doesn't look like. I think maybe I'd love to know. Maybe it is from a real Texas barbecue joint, but that brisket seems a little.
It's a little too brown.
A little.
I mean, we need a little color in there.
Well, I mean, the bark looks good.
Oh
but
yeah, no,
just,
I'm talking about the inside.
Yeah, it just looks like that is not a very good brisket. But what do I know? I'm from Arkansas. That I only try to cook like a Texas Texan brisket. But here it is. So they're trying their best to make this guy. You know, when I first saw this clip, the Democrat Party, Texas James Tallarico, is the only candidate who will put you first. When I first saw this, I thought, is this some sort of cringe-worthy high school yearbook photo from like 1995?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Then I thought,
he looks 12.
What is this? Is this some sort of like Abercrombie and Finch?
What did you just say?
How do you? Is it Abercrombie?
Abercrombie. You don't remember the song?
Abercrombie.
I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch.
Okay, so Abercrombie. I never shopped there.
Me either. I was too fat for that.
It was also expensive.
Was it? I never even.
Yeah, dude. It was like. Here's some jeans that look like they've been rolled around in dog crap. That'll be $85.
When we had the mall, they were always wafting cologne out into the thing. So you passed by there and you're like, well, if I.
But I don't know. It's just
anyway.
It's such a this is I'm normal. I lied earlier when I said I was like you.
Look at me in this Texas flag shirt.
But they certainly know that this whole vegan. We're running a vegan campaign.
Yeah.
So now they've got him eating what looks like a turkey leg, I guess, but he's got a napkin around it, which also is just odd. And by the way, this is not nitpicking, okay? When's the last time you've eaten a chicken leg or a turkey leg and you're like, I better get a napkin.
Never.
I'm going to hold this thing with a napkin. No, you pick it up and you eat it. So this is
and then you got the little you've got the little cloths on the the whatever you want, the hand sanitizer cloths on the table if you're having chicken wings or something like that.
Yeah.
You've got that, or you go wash your hands afterwards. But you dive in, man. You got to have that. You got to lick them fingers.
Look at that meme. Barbecue? Nah. LGBTQ? Hey.
Hey, give me this turkey leg.
Ted Cruz, what the hell is he eating? It's not barbecue because Tallarico is passionately anti-meat. Is that a tofu log?
Well,
is it real? You think it could be?
That just reeks of the McDonald's CEO who did the taste test thing on there. He's like, I'm going to blame my mom for taking small bites. I'm like, dude, you're getting more and more beta.
Unfortunately, they've superimposed different things that he's eating, and some of them cannot be shown on television.
Show them.
Some of them cannot be shown. But look, this was a whole photo shoot. Okay, this is Operation Make the Democratic candidate for Senate in Texas look like a normal person. Photo 1. Okay, now let's go outside. Eat a turkey leg. Photo 2. Untuck the shirt, buddy. Yeah. It looks a lot more relatable. But then, we get memes like this.
The Martin Luther King Memorial, which still nobody knows what the hell it is.
No one. There were little snippets of hope in the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
This was unveiled as a tribute to Martin Luther King Jr. during the Biden administration, I believe. Here it is. This is what it actually looks like.
Okay.
And little snippets of hope like this where things were just going spectacularly wrong for the left.
Yeah.
And this was one of them where you're just like...
to me...
Yes, it looks like somebody is holding a giant piece of human excrement.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Somebody's holding a turd.
That's what it looks like. Or it looks like something even worse... But for a memorial, and this, by the way,
or somebody's like wrestling a python, like this python's about to wrap them up, and they're trying to get their hands in. I don't know.
What an odd sculpture
it is.
And as societies get closer and closer to collapsing, We've talked about this before. The quality of the art also becomes less and less complicated and more objectively terrible.
I don't think we're going to be able to get past without showing some of these Tallarico memes, because the comments are blowing up like, we need to see the memes. We need to see
I'm not showing the ones where they literally have edited. They've literally edited, male anatomy in there, and so. But we do have this. This is my favorite. James Tallarico trying to cosplay as a Texan. Marty.
Is that Clint Eastwood? I think it is.
Knee K. What's that? Some sort of Indian talk? I don't. Yeah, sure it is, Marty. Haven't you ever seen a Western? Of course I have, Doc. But Clint Eastwood never wore anything like this. Clint who?
That's funny.
Doc. If I drive towards that wall, I'm going to crash into those Indians, Marty. You're not thinking fourth dimensionally.
Yes, we can go through that.
As long as the DeLorean hits 88 miles per hour before you hit the screen, those Indians won't even be there.
Such
anyway,
a great movie. There you go.
Twinks for Texas. I think this is an AI photo.
Are you sure? You sure?
Well, is he really? Oh, well.
It's when Beto was running. Beto.
But they had to
they put
change
the A
O
in there.
for the A. Yeah. So it's a real photo, but
right.
Yeah,
but look how short this dude is.
Yeah.
Now Beto is not short. I mean, I don't know how tall he is, but certainly this guy, there's like a 7 or 8 inch difference right there. That's what she said.
At this point in time, the Democrats may finally realize that play acting as a straight white man with a normal testosterone level is not the same thing as actually being a straight white man with a normal testosterone level, and all straight white men with a normal testosterone level are instantly able to tell the difference. This is it. I mean, they don't understand the people they're trying to get to vote for this guy.
Yeah.
Or for them, for that matter. They have no idea.
This honestly, if you were trying to have a successful video like thing there, this needed to be a video. It didn't need to be it could have been a 3-second video of him like chatting and taking a bite of this. But everybody thinks he just put his mouth on there for the photo and then he put it down. That's what we all think.
Brandon Gill, quick.
Oh, Beto is apparently 6'4".
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay. Quick, put on that shirt and bite that turkey leg so we can try and convince everyone that you're a normal person.
Yeah.
For Texas. Now this is I think this is my favorite. John Hamm.
Picture this. Beto, but gayer.
Yeah, that was this one from yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Fired up and ready to go.
I can't believe they posted that, man.
It's
like, saddles up. How's it going? I'm here, guys. I'm trying to be a senator. My wife doesn't like it when I do that voice. She says I do it a little too accurately.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a good impersonation.
I think so. I think that's exactly how he talks about everything.
It's just the way so many people in America sound now.
That's the voice in his head for one thing. So,
my goodness.
Holding the cheeks apart. Oh, Bad Moon, you're crazy. Bad Moon, I can't read your comments on air. You're crazy.
All right, so here is was Tallarico? Is that a Joe Rogan background?
It looks it.
Okay, so this is the stuff he's now saying about the Virgin Mary. I can't even believe this guy believes in the Immaculate Conception, let alone trying to say that Mary offered her consent and didn't abort the baby, didn't abort Christ. But this is the type of blasphemy this guy. We've got as Christians, by the way, and I'm gonna really try to do my part here during this campaign in Texas. We have such a great opportunity to actively refute heresy and blasphemy and these what's left of the mainline denominations in this country that have let women be pastors and have let gay people, get married and all of that stuff, and have okayed it and said the Bible doesn't say what it really says. If anything, the fruit that could come out of the Democrats running this guy is that we are able to confront their heresy and blasphemy head on and call out their sin and say, no, actually, you believe that because you are a sinner and you are not willing to repent. You're not willing to give your sin up. You're not willing to mortify it and go to battle with it, go to war with it every single day. You're more comfortable in your jail cell. You're more comfortable returning to your own vomit than you are accepting the forgiveness of Jesus Christ and moving forward with him and following him. And so we have an incredible opportunity because James Tallarico is associated with the Presbyterian Church USA, and they are so outside a biblical worldview. And, you know, as somebody who is Presbyterian myself, but is not the gay kind, I take there are those of us out there who are like that. And I take it as a personal challenge to rise to the occasion and take all these ridiculous statements and confront them head on. And this goes for everybody in Texas, all across, and everybody across the USA. This guy has some weird beliefs that are not Christianity at all. It's a completely different religion. Listen.
But I say all this in context of abortion because before God comes over Mary and we have the incarnation, God asks for Mary's consent, which is remarkable. I mean, go back and read this in Luke. I mean, the angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. Let it happen. So to me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create. Creation is one of the most sacred acts that
Did you have consent? Did anyone ask for your consent, Rob, when you were created?
You know what? I'm sure there was a conversation in heaven that, no, of course not.
Yeah, exactly.
No, God so willed it, and my parents got freaky, and that's what happened.
He's completely making this up. I mean, completely making it up. Claiming that the Bible justifies abortion because the Archangel Gabriel asked the Virgin Mary for her consent. No. That would be, he completely makes it up.
Like what version of the Bible you reading?
Gabriel does. He tells Mary it's God's will, and guess what? She says, "Yeah, okay,
okay."
I mean, and that's the thing about God.
I mean,
he gets what he wants. If he wants it, he gets it. Period. Like that's the archetype that he created. That he's the standard for. By the way.
So if you, like. You think that God was going around and auditioning people, and be like, hey, will you do this?
Oh, well, I'm going to ask Mary if she's okay.
If not,
I got a plan B, though.
There's
no
Betty,
pun intended.
Betty over there.
No, there's one plan, and guess what?
It was a perfect plan.
This idea, it's so funny, and this is also how salvation works, in my opinion. People think that like that God is a punk, and it's going to be people are going to disagree with us, but be rejected. No. When he calls you, when he opens your eyes, guess what? You're going to respond to it. And that's the pattern that we see all throughout Scripture with men that he pursues and women that he pursues and brings to himself, and that the fact that he says in the New Testament that my sheep hear my voice. Mm-hmm. They know my voice, they come, they respond.
Well, this is where if you were sitting across the table, let's just say that this was here in our studio, and you were interviewing this, low T Tallarico here, and he said this. Now you would know that, but as a good interview, you'd say, well, okay, what verse is that? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then because he just said it was in Luke, I think, and so he's like, what verse is that in? What verse in Luke? And then he would, like, well, I don't have it in front of me here. Like, okay, well, then let's just go exactly where this is talked about in Luke. Well, it doesn't really say that. What translation would you have been reading? Like, and just backing this douchebag into a corner here and saying, dude, you are twisting the word of God. Whether there may be people in our comments and listening to the show and stuff that are not religious people, and that's totally fine. Whether you believe in the word of God or not, that is up to you. That is up to your own salvation. But the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is to believe in this word, but only if you can twist it to make it fit your lifestyle so that you think you're not living in sin.
Yeah.
It's like that female pastor here, who is gay and looks every bit of it, is standing up there and saying, I don't have to apologize for this, okay?
Yeah.
Because my sexuality doesn't matter to God. And you're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment. I'm not going to sit here and do that. But you are a pastor of a church, and you are leading your flock astray, in my opinion, because that's not what the word says.
Yeah, actually, I think I have that pulled up. Is this it right here? No. Well, maybe I've got so many of them I can't remember. But this is what I'll say.
It's crazy, man.
It's like, yes, to your point about twisting Scripture, and it's like, thank goodness. Thank goodness the Bible says, the way I read the Bible, the way I twist the Scripture, thank goodness it allows me to continue in this gay lifestyle or this polyamorous lifestyle or whatever it is. Thank goodness that I and isn't that such a coincidence that everybody before you had it wrong, but the correct interpretation of the Bible happens to perfectly conform to 21st century progressive cultural norms?
How fortunate we are. How fortunate.
I mean, it's absolutely nuts when you think about it. Like, oh wow! I mean, you can say the same thing for modern day political views and Christians in politics. Oh, thank goodness that what the Bible prescribes is modern neutrality, secularism, libertarianism. It's like, actually no, it doesn't prescribe that. That's not what it prescribes actually. And so these people are on totally they're not on the rock. They're on sinking sand, and it's obvious. And we're going to do the best we can on this program when it comes up to combat this head on, because it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and we would be remiss if we didn't do it with a full.
There has to be, and I know you can speak to this, Paul, but as a Presbyterian, is there not just a huge break in that church between these two very absolutely opposed sections of, I go back to my wife and I went to St. Louis for a concert, and we passed by a Presbyterian church there, and it had gay pride, but the LGBTQ flag out there, Black Lives Matter, all of this stuff, like all of this leftist ideology propaganda was on their church sign. It wasn't just in the yard waving. It was on their church sign. That's how ingrained it is in the religious messages that are given at that church. I guarantee you, they're not getting a good old Baptist dangers of sin preaching at that church, and we all need that from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. The wages of sin are death.
Yes,
sin will kill you.
Yes, and you can get in your life, and you can get so analytical and so intellectual about, oh well, I wonder what this means, and how do I wrestle with that in Scripture? And like sometimes you got to be reminded about the dangers of sin, and if that is on your sign, then you don't ever have that conversation with your congregation, and I know it before I walk in the door.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I've got so many of these backed up, I don't even know which one to start with. I feel like it's an apropos thing to do. Celebration of Life Presbyterian Church. So this is the type. We'll go with this one because this is the type of church that James Tallarico is a member of. Okay, so it's time for a segment that we haven't had in a while, but here it goes.
And let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God.
And now it's time for I'm Already Against Women Clergy. You don't have to convince me.
All right, so for this edition of I'm Already Against Women Clergy, you don't have to convince me. Here is Reverend Lacey of Celebration of Life Presbyterian Church, PCUSA, has a welcome message for new visitors. So this is the type of instructions that James Tallarico is receiving.
Hello and welcome. My name is Pastor Kelsey, and I'm coming to you from my office here at Celebration of Life Presbyterian Church in Mesa, Arizona. On behalf of the congregation, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to visit us virtually. A little bit about COL. We are a queer, quirky, deeply devoted congregation steeped in the Presbyterian tradition. Since the 70s, we have been an oasis in Mesa.
First thing.
An oasis for those seeking a different type of Christianity. Since our inception, we have been known as that church. The church that hasn't been afraid to lift up marginalized people, especially being vocal about LGBT issues.
So not a completely different type of Christianity. Not Christianity at all. At all.
Different type of Christianity.
Yeah. It's a totally, it's literally just
why serve God?
The devil.
Why serve God if you are just your own God? If your God is yourself, and that's what, let's just be honest, that acceptance and, I am who I am and I'm just going to live this way. I am actually a woman born in a man's body. God made a mistake. So I'm not going to serve that God. I'm going to serve myself by embracing this and just saying, sure, although I still have male anatomy, although my chromosomes would say otherwise, I'm a woman. I'm not going to get on my transgender.
Yeah, no, but that they've got those
today,
two.
but
They got everybody. They got the whole thing. Anyway, I think this is my favorite
This
segment.
has been I'm Already Against Women Clergy. You don't have to convince me.
All right, folks, moving on
I love
now.
that voiceover.
Oh, thank you.
That was a great voice. Hey, you can change my lower Chiron, whatever, my lower third. You can absolutely change that at any time and leave it to trans women are men with mental illness. That's all you got to put.
Okay, hang on. We'll do it right now.
Like that's literally how I feel about all of this stuff. And we're about to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. Folks, and I know you're going to tease this a little bit, but we have a great interview coming up on Monday. Do not miss the show on Monday because our local congressman here for our district, Rick Crawford, who serves as the chair of the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives, who worked directly with Tulsi Gabbard, gave us some eye-opening insights into how all that went, and that will air on Monday.
Yeah, it's actually fantastic. It's a great interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, Tulsi Gabbard. Speaking of Tulsi Gabbard, we have Zero Hedge. They are reporting this because Tulsi Gabbard's not out yet. She's got till the 30th. She's got one more month. Headline, Tulsi Gabbard to go nuclear on deep state before leaving ODNI. Last week, Tulsi Gabbard, President Trump's director of national intelligence, announced she will step down on June 30th to care for her husband.
June 30th?
Yes.
Okay.
June 30th.
We got another month.
Since taking the position of DNI, Gabbard has moved aggressively to overhaul the intelligence community, trying to root out the politicization of corruption, including exposing the deep state's war on President Trump. Gabbard revoked the security clearances of officials found to have abused public trust, shut down DEI programs across the intelligence community, and redirected its focus towards foreign terrorist organizations. Gabbard also prioritized transparency, and by May of 2026, Gabbard had overseen the declassification of more than 500,000 pages of previously secret government documents. Those documents span an almost surreal range of American history. Assassination records on President JFK, Senator RFK, Martin Luther King Jr., files connected to Amelia Earhart's 1937 disappearance, and Biden administration's documents detailing the federal government's strategic implementation plan for countering domestic terrorism.
Which all of
white people.
All of that's supposed to be declassified at this point, correct? Or
yeah,
the majority of it?
Whistleblower. They did release some JFK documents. They did release some RFK documents. RFK straight up says, Robert Kennedy Jr. straight up says, hey, look, CIA killed my dad.
Yeah.
He straight up says that in multiple interviews about it.
He was John F. Kennedy 2.0, and they weren't going to. We already got John out of the way.
That's
We're not
right.
going to let Robert come in.
And then we have the whistleblower that says that DNI, took back the CIA took back documents that the DNI was going to declassify.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King files connected to Amelia. Okay, we already read that part. She also pushed the declassification of material she argues exposed the full mechanics of the Russia investigation, which her office says proved the Obama administration weaponized intelligence to undermine Trump's 2016 campaign. She may be leaving, but between now and her final day as DNI, Gabbard intends to make her departure felt by the deep state. Basically, like,
setting the world on fire on her way out of town.
If you're in the intelligence oligarchy, now she's not worried about keeping her job. She basically, President Trump's already wished her well, so she basically has 30 days to basically burn it all down if she wants to.
She's going to throw a hand grenade in the room.
Yep.
And then walk out. Then let us deal with what.
Actually,
and I'm
here
for it.
Pray that that's what she does.
Yeah.
Pray that is exactly what she does.
Well, if the deep state has their way about it, there's going to be intense pressure over the next month.
We can tell you that on Monday when you hear what Rick Crawford has to say. Rick Crawford, it's about an hour-long interview with Rick, okay? Congressman Crawford, he's our congressman, but he's the chair of HPSI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And what we can tell you is, I'll just say it, like based on the interview, yes, the CIA is spying. Spying is a loose word because spying kind of implies that you'd have to hack it. They don't have to hack it. Based on the interview, the CIA is 100% is and has been monitoring everything Tulsi Gabbard and her office has been doing on their computers.
Yes.
100%. It is confirmed in the interview, and specifically you'll understand why. It's like a no-brainer. When we figure it out, like it's like a no-brainer. And you're like, oh, well, duh, no wonder. And you realize how there do need to be. Now, this assumes Rick Crawford says that Tulsi Gabbard is the first and only director of national intelligence that has actually taken the job seriously and not just been a placeholder.
Yes.
So
it's always been a ceremonial position, is what he said.
Well, yeah, somebody who's on the teams of all the other people, like that, one of their guys. And she wasn't, which is why people wanted her out, which is why you had propaganda and social media influencers trying to get her out of there. But assuming that whoever replaces Tulsi is a good guy, is a good person, and not just going to be part of the cover-up. And by the way, there will be so many people in Trump's ear trying to get him to replace her with, somebody that's just going to go along with the status quo. But there does need to be some reforms to the DNI office based on that interview and based on the statute that created the DNI in 2005 in the first place. Anyway, the revelations will include declassifications concerning Havana syndrome, the origins of COVID-19, the alleged weaponization of the federal government under recent Democrat administrations, and the 2020 presidential election. And we've been waiting on this report on elections since June of last year.
Correct.
In her resignation letter to Trump, Gabbard pledged to stay focused on mission. I'm fully committed to ensuring a smooth and thorough transition over the coming weeks so that you and your team experience no disruption in leadership momentum. It has been a profound honor to serve the American people as DNI. Congressman Crawford called this a major loss yesterday when we recorded this interview.
Yeah, and I think he said that multiple times. That it was obvious that Tulsi Gabbard was doing something that he has seen. He was first appointed to the Intelligence Committee, the Intel Committee, HPSI, in 2017. So he saw this crap. So he saw the weaponization against Trump 1.0. He saw all that, and then he saw every bit of the weaponization of the intelligence community during Biden's 4 years. He saw all of that, and he's sitting there, and he's got this information, and you just have to have someone, he's oversight, and there's only so much that they can do, right? They can have committee hearings, and they can do all of this stuff, and they can refer something to the Department of Justice. But are they going to? They're going to refer something to Merrick Garland, and said, "Hey, you're some of these organizations over here, the CIA. You need to go in there and you need to break it up." He's not going to do anything. Not going to do anything. So it was interesting, and Rick Crawford goes through how many agencies are under Tulsi Gabbard, things that you've never even thought, like the Department of Energy. I would have had no idea that the Department of Energy was under the Director of National Intelligence, right? And so this, and you know, all the other ones, the 3-letter agencies we know, the DEA, FBI, CIA, all of that stuff. But yeah, huge loss to lose Tulsi Gabbard. We're going to keep seeing it, but we'll see what she does over the next month. Hopefully she's a sledgehammer on her way out the door as well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens after there will be a rush, a mad rush, once she leaves a month from now to sit down with her and get her to interview.
My guess is she'll take some time for a while. But
I think she will, because she is going to have to, be with her husband. But people are going to want to, they're going to want to debrief her. They're going to want her to debrief us about what it was like. Because even Rick, I hate to give away the whole interview, but we're not giving it away. It's way better to hear him say it. But even Rick, he said, look, when I started cooperating as the chair of the House Intel Committee, when I started cooperating with Tulsi Gabbard, I ruffled some feathers. I asked, who? Whose feathers did you ruffle? He didn't give me names. He just said, well, members of the IC. They didn't like that I was playing ball.
Yeah, because he would be speaking to classified information at that point.
Well, airing the dirty laundry of the people we want. We want the dirty laundry aired, and we want people arrested. Like that's what we want. And so Tulsi's doing that, and she's going against the grain, because there's people in the Trump administration that don't want her to do this. They don't want it known, and they certainly don't want it prosecuted. And so it's extremely frustrating that we've lost her. So it'll be interesting to see what her post-Trump administration interviews are like. From a political standpoint, I would be remiss if I haven't been analyzing this politically. She goes out of the administration, yes, to care for her ailing husband. But you have to look at it politically, too. She goes out of the administration not being fired, within the good graces of Trump, being praised by Trump, being praised by people like Congressman Rick Crawford, the chairman of the Intel Committee. Politically, she is now in a very good place moving forward for whatever she wants to do moving forward. Even though I know the neocons, the pro-war wing, hate her. Isn't it interesting that it's the pro-war neocon wing that hate Tulsi Gabbard, not just for her anti-war stance? I think I think they hate her because she's exposing the intelligence agencies that lie to the American people to get us to go to war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I remember thinking when Donald Trump was when he was, looking through and trying to figure out, we were trying to find out who's going to be his vice presidential running mate. And this is when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were still the ticket. And I remember thinking, Donald Trump needs to have Tulsi Gabbard as his running mate. And the reason is because she still has the most epic takedown of Kamala Harris that anyone has ever had. She totally obliterated. She ended Kamala Harris's campaign. Although I don't know that it was too far off the ground at that point anyway. She was polling miserably. But Tulsi Gabbard with her streak in her hair and that white suit that she was wearing just completely murdered Kamala Harris right there on the stage. And so I thought, man, I want to see that in a vice presidential debate. I want to see cackling Kamala one-on-one versus Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard would also check a lot of boxes. She's a woman. She's a minority, right? And she is from, served in a blue state. Hawaii is extremely blue. And now that's why she was elected as a Democrat, but she's still, you want to tell me that Tulsi Gabbard's still not popular? She's not popular in Hawaii? She 100% is. And so I don't know what's going to happen here with this resignation. We're going to see the fallout over the last month and stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see also what her next year and a half is of life. Obviously, she's got to be concerned about her life, the life of her husband.
Yeah.
But is she going to be tossing her hat into the ring for president again? Is she going to be on the short list of vice presidential picks here? Is the J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio? Will there be in those debates? Will there be like too much sort of friction and bloodshed there? That if stands to reason, if anything is history is any indicator, Marco Rubio would be resigning soon. right? Because if you're going to make a presidential run, it's going to be hard for him to run for president as the sitting Secretary of State. It's a little easier as the vice president. But, same thing. Hillary Clinton did it, right? She was Secretary of State. She resigned, and she ran for president. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I would like to see like a Brett Baer interview her, because Brett Baer's not going to just toss a bunch of softball questions at her like, oh, Tulsi, you're so awesome, you're so great, and which she is. But he's going to ask some probing questions there, and I would love to get some off the record or some on the record but off the cuff answers from Tulsi Gabbard before she leaves office.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if she goes on Tucker, honestly.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Here is... we haven't covered the story. We waited 2 days to cover the story, so you'll have to forgive me, but we just have had other stuff to talk about. But there is a scandal that James O'Keefe has covered over at O'Keefe Media involving the Director of Community Relations for the Washington Nationals. So this is a baseball story. A guy named Sean Hudson essentially saying that one of their star pitchers, a guy by the name of Trevor Williams, who is an outspoken Christian, they actively discriminate against him. That's the allegation here. I want you to listen to this.
I am on the community relations team. So, corporate...
Let me just say this. I am on the community relations team.
I am also gay as they come.
So, I just want to say, I think about this in terms of, I'm so blessed that I'm not in a corporate environment. I don't have to answer to people like this. Mm-hmm. But I always have a fear of getting framed for some crime and, going before a judge and okay, well, maybe this judge will be fair. And then the judge comes out and it's like, all right, or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, oh no, I'm straight. I'm a Christian. And this guy is going to hate my guts.
Well, one thing I want to say something about Tulsi as well that I just remembered. She had a podcast.
That's right. She did.
Pretty successful podcast before she, was brought into this position. So it'd be interesting to see if she goes back to that.
Yeah, it really will.
Anyway,
and we obviously
might get some more unfiltered stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here it is. Sean Hudson.
I am on the community relations team. So corporate social responsibility.
The Director of Community Relations for the Washington Nationals of the MLB reveals unethical behavior within the management of the Washington baseball team, including religious discrimination against a starting pitcher.
One of our pitchers, dude, Trevor Williams, he is very Catholic. The Dodgers had a group out to the stadium who were drag queens who sometimes dressed up as nuns. He went on a social media this is wrong, this is my religion, you all are mocking it. Because of that, we don't use him on social. When they're is a hot dog a sandwich? And the players come up, you know what I mean? We don't ask him.
Potentially a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Sean then also reveals the Nationals Park is executing a surveillance strategy on Washington Nationals fans.
If you ever come to a Nats game, there is someone on our team who is responsible for figuring out everything about you. We're getting a plethora of your Google history.
And claiming they're, quote, using baseball to make money by selling out to Palantir-like defense contractors.
We're trying to use baseball to make money. And a lot of that is defense contractors, the Palantirs of the world.
Then he goes on to claim that some corporate meetings are segregated as women only or gay only.
They would be well within their rights to say if you don't identify as a member of the LGBTQIA plus population, you shouldn't be at this specific meeting. There are some spaces that should only be for those people.
And even
that guy looks like a fat gay Voldemort.
Yeah, or
Uncle Fester.
Yeah, Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
From the Addams
family. I was
going
to say Herman Munster, but I meant Uncle Fester. That's exactly right. He does. So there's an update to this story.
Okay.
Which is once again from Alex Stein, who was doing the narration on this.
Guys, we got breaking news. Sean Hudson, Director of Community Relations for the Washington Nationals, has just now admitted to another O'Keefe Media Group undercover journalist that he has been placed on leave by the Washington Nationals. I know that the mainstream media is trying to ignore the story. We need you guys to share it. We need to expose this. If you're a Christian athlete, you should not be discriminated against for your religion. And that is exactly what happened when Sean Hudson discriminated against Trevor Williams for being an outspoken Christian. We need the world to see this story. And Sean Hudson has just been placed on administrative leave. He admitted it to one of our undercover journalists. This is a fact, Jack. Everybody needs to know. The rest of the world needs to address it.
Big stuff. You know, this is like the second. I mean, and no, this is a cultural story. This is the anti-Christian discrimination. You know, playing out in the corporate world. The stuff about surveilling your fans is just insane. That they're taking your data and selling it. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Well, they're doing that, but I don't know how. I think that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, no, it is.
No matter what, but it's the guy saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the second story in a couple of weeks because you had a couple of White House officials that were secretly saying that Trump is Trump is crazy or they're undermining Trump. Those two officials, that one guy that was clearly kind of a beta male, but there was clearly an attractive female that was the undercover journalist. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the undercover journalist in this most recent case with Washington Nationals is a dude. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say
it wasn't a hot blonde getting him to sing like a jailbird there. So this reminds me of Jackson Dart, who for the New York Giants quarterback is catching a lot of flack because he introduced Trump, and at this thing. So he was basically saying he came out and screamed it from the mountaintops like, hey, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a MAGA, And Joy Behar, I believe it was today, or it could have been yesterday, said that it was, how dare he do that? Because this is what she said. Because over 50% of his teammates are black. Him introducing Trump is racist. What? What are you talking about? You're saying because that the majority of black people vote Democrat and you've got black teammates and you introduce a Republican president who just won 77 million votes.
Wow.
That's racist. Now, nobody's listening to these hens on the View, but they do get 2.5 million viewers per day. Yeah, that's the reason that show hasn't been canceled.
And ABC's asking that the equal or the fair time or equal time clause with the FCC be ignored. They're wanting the View to get an exception to that rule.
Right. And Meghan McCain was on that show, and she Candace Burr, what's her face from Full House. Both were on that show from different times, and they said it wears on you.
Yeah,
you're in a firing squad, and you're going against these ladies. She's like, it wears on you.
I bet it's insane. Hey, let me tell you this, kind of related to this. It's racist if a white guy introduces Trump because the majority of his team is black. So I met a longtime friend today. Haven't seen him probably in 3 or 4 years. We met up. It was like we never been apart. So he's a really good friend of mine. And we were talking about this. He was sitting right where you were sitting, Rob. We were having a conversation around lunch. And he was telling me that years ago, he was a mentor to this young black kid.
Okay.
And his mom, he didn't have the best home life, right? But this guy has gone on, and he's just he's a very successful person now, right? And part of the reason for that is because my friend, a white guy, mentored him. It was like the only father figure in his life, So he, took him out, taught him how to shoot, guns, and just did all the stuff that you would expect, a mentor to do. He says, but one of the times that I really got to him when he was younger was he said, I had a conversation with him, and I was like, so, in your demographic, is slavery still kind of a big deal with you guys?
Oh my God.
He was like, yeah, slavery's a big deal. He was like, yeah, okay. Well, you realize that the amount of babies that are murdered in abortion, the amount of black children that are murdered every year in this country in the name of abortion, the number is staggeringly high, and it makes slavery look like. He actually told the kid this. He said, on an evil scale of 1 to 10, it's a 2. Quote, it's a hard 2, which I just think.
Like,
But he's saying comparatively, and he says that was one of the moments where you could tell that this young black kid did not know what to do with that information. I mean, he knew it was true. I mean, you can go look it up. The amount of black babies that are killed, especially in New York. I mean, you've got it's like 1 in 5, and if you're a female, if you're a female baby. The abortion rate is even higher for female babies. This is according to the statistics, from a few years ago. But it was a hopeful story in terms of this is a story where, somebody is now living a productive life because, there was an opportunity to mentor some kid that needed help, and he did it, and, everything else. But it just goes to show you, I have a lot of hope for the younger generation. The more I think about it, the more polls that I'm looking at. If we can survive what's going on in this country now, and somehow still maintain even an ounce of our freedom and our sovereignty, I think it's going to be a good deal.
I think
I'm optimistic today. I'm not black-pilling today.
The left wants to constantly take things they didn't earn, right? We get this with the debate over reparations and all this ridiculousness. So you're saying you want people who never owned slaves to pay money to someone who was never a slave, and all that's going to do is just put more money in the government's pocket. That's all it's going to do, is because, let's just be honest, if you've never had money and somebody gives you, what's the number that was floated around, like $250,000, of course they're trying to give millions to the people in California, even though the state of California didn't even have slaves. My gosh. Anyway, but you're saying you put you're wanting $250,000. If you've never had money and you suddenly get $250,000, do you know how fast that'll be gone?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It'll be gone. It'll be gone in a week. People, it's not like they're going to go invest it. It's not like they're going to,
right.
So they're going to go out and buy these fancy cars, and they're going to do all this stuff, right? And but that doesn't mean, not just because they're black they're doing that. Like any poor person who would do that. And then, so is there a means test? Because there are very wealthy black people in this country. Mm-hmm. Do they get the reparations? Well, what if if your ancestors can't be tracked back to race? I mean, you can go, it's a terrible rabbit hole to go down. You didn't earn the money.
Yep.
You didn't earn it. You just want people to give it to you.
It's not going to work out well.
No.
To prove my point, though, and I know we got to go, we're running out of time, but real quick, this is just proving my point about my hope in the young generation, and it's centered on corporal punishment. Shocking number of millennial and Gen Z parents spank their kids, study says, necessary to raise a child properly. So on that note, I think the world is healing in a big way. Rob Spencer, I appreciate it's been a great week, and I really appreciate you being on the show, sir.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure to be here as always.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, and Sherrod Chiropractic. We'll see you guys tomorrow.